in this modern age, I think we can look back at Toegye and his ideas for humanity and how to grow into becoming a good person. 안녕하세요. 여기 Mark Peterson 우물파케 개구리 연구소인데 I think I'll speak in English today because there's been a wonderful thing that has happened. 축하할 만한 거 있어요. 뭐냐면은, let me show you this. I'll translate it for you. This says appointment letter. And it says Mark Peterson is appointed by the Toegye Studies Association as a Goodwill ambassador. How's that? Goodwill ambassador for 퇴계학, for the 퇴계학 진흥원, actually. As we look into it, I don't know if you know about 퇴계학, but I'm going to do this one in English so that more people will learn that don't know anything about 퇴계학. If you know about Toegye, you know he's on the 1001 note. And he's considered kind of the equivalent of George Washington in that he's on the basic bill. What did he do? Well, he lived in the 16th century, and he was a philosopher, and he was considered the most important philosopher in Korean history because he took the ideas of Jushi, the famous Chinese Neo-Confucian philosopher, and incorporated some of his own ideas into Jushiism, and it spread, his ideas spread to Japan and back to China and to Vietnam. They studied him there. He had innovative ideas, and he was a very interesting man. There's an association dedicated to him, and here's the website for it. And it actually, the 퇴계학회, the Association for the Study of Toegye, has three sections. There's three subordinate areas. There's the 퇴계학 연구원, the studying the Toegye. And then there's the 퇴계학 진흥원 to promote studies of Toegye. And then there's the 국제 퇴계학회, the international 퇴계학. And here on this page, it tells you what 퇴계학 is. The small lettering right here, it says Toegye studies is mindfulness, it's self-care, it's humanitarianism, it's steadfastness, and it's happiness. So you can't get any better than that. And that's the ideas, the supporting ideas for these concepts that are the heart of Confucianism, specifically of Neo-Confucianism. Now, I went to the last International 퇴계학 Conference, and I wrote about it in the Korea Times. And this conference was held in Taipei, Taiwan. And it was very nice. I got to see some old friends, some people I haven't seen for a long time. And it was a very nice conference on Toegye. And different scholars each made a presentation. I made a brief presentation about analyzing Toegye and his impact on the world and the philosophy. And this international conference, the one in Taipei in 2024, in November of 2024, they have them about every other year, and they're international. Look at this list. They've been in Taipei twice now. And then the one for this coming year, in the fall of this year, is going to be in Kyoto. So 퇴계학 is an important philosophical study. I'm not a philosopher. I have a PhD, a doctorate in philosophy, but I'm not a philosopher. I'm more of a social historian, but I look at what 퇴계학 has done to the world. And it's a way to build Confucianism for the 21st century. And my point here is, as the Goodwill ambassador for Confucianism, for 퇴계학, is let's not throw out the baby with the bathwater. There are a lot of people that are critical of Confucianism these days, but if you throw all of Confucianism out, you throw the baby out too, and that's no good. There's a lot of great things about Confucianism that we must hold on to, and we can throw out discrimination against women, we can throw out social hierarchy, and the thing of it is, at the time of Toegye, you got to remember it's 15th century, and at that point in Korean history, Confucianism, Neo-Confucianism had not taken over to the extent that it was Namjon Yobi, men first, women last. But it was rather egalitarian. Women had equal inheritance rights with men, And marriage practices, they'd go to the wife's house as often as they would to the man's house. Maybe there's a slight preference towards staying at the man's house, but they would move. There are lots and lots of cases of establishing a new household at marriage at the wife's house. And so it was a time of egalitarianism. And in this modern age, we have left the patrilineal, some people like to say patriarchal society behind, and we're now in a new age of equality between men and women. Some men think that the men are being picked on. Come on, grow up. It's not that bad. Equality won't hurt you. But in this modern age, I think we can look back at Toegye and his ideas for humanity and how to grow into becoming a good person. I've told a story before about my good friend Ihonam. He's passed away now, but we were going to a devotional on campus one time, and I used to just listen on the radio or in my office. He always went. He would always go. And I asked him one time, I went with him because there was a very important speaker. I wanted to go and see it. So I went with him. And I asked him on the way, I said, why is it you always go every week? You go every week, don't you? And he said, yeah, I go. I said, why do you go? And I thought he would say, because the president asked us to go and I'm obedient. But that wasn't what he said. He said, 사람 되려고. I want to become a person. It helps me to become a person, which runs counter to American ideas. Thomas Jefferson said we're all equal people, except for some people are only two-fifths people, etc. But the idea of we're all equal is a Western idea, but in Korean thought, philosophy, you have to become a person. And so Confucianism and the ideas of Toegye are things to help you become a person. So anyway, those are some things to think about, and I'm really honored by the Toegye Association to be named a Goodwill ambassador. I'll do my best job as this ambassador during the time that I'm it has a 2-year appointment. I see 2 years. Okay. So anyway, that's my part for today. Confucianism is a wonderful thing, and I'm a good ambassador. Okay. That's it for today. We'll see you next time. 안녕히 가세요.